Straight people of Reddit, when and how did you realize that you liked the opposite sex? Lola Bunny from Space Jam. My sister had Spice Girls on VHS. I was very interested in that movie. Embarrassing story incoming. I noticed that movie had brief nudity listed on the VHS box. Being a teenage boy and something involving Spice Girls and any nudity meant I had to watch the whole thing. Turns out the brief nudity was a split-second shot of male asses. Ruined my whole night. 5th grade. This new girl transferred to our school from somewhere else, and we ended up sitting next to each other in computer class. We were playing some silly game and trying to help each other, but neither of us was doing great. Something happened in the game that was really silly and we both started laughing. Watching her smiling and laughing like that was the start of my first real crush. And that's when I knew I liked girls. I was pretty young, like 5 or 6, something like that. My parent put on Cartoon Network but didn't notice when its run time or whatever was over and the channel switched to showing movies. One of the movies had this nude scene in it. I don't remember much of what it was about. I just remember there was a naked lady tied up to a chair. Anyways, the moment I saw that lady's boobs I was like, yep, I gotta get my hands on a pair of those. Probably around 5 or 6 when I got my first kiss on a field trip. Had a crush on her all the way through to graduation in HS. Never single at the same time though. Ended up just being friends. Go find her op. I'm happily married now. We are still friend too. Going on 33 years. Go find her. I went to a Catholic school. I remember in 5th grade a classmate got up and a little bit of her upper thigh was exposed for a second. Suddenly I had a stomach ache and the image was laser etched into my brain for a while. I was like, what in the living frick is going on with my mind and body? It was so weird when I think about it. It was the exact moment I started noticing girls. Back in the late 70s, early 80s, painted vans were a thing. People would buy a panel van and get someone to paint a garish, extravagant scene on it. X-wings, pterodactyls, dragons, etc. Sometimes all on the same van. My sexual awakening happened when one of those vans happened to drive past and the mural was of a topless barbarian woman with a broad axe posing against a background of an exploding volcano under a storming sky, with lightning and fire all around. I was about 13. I knew early. I had a crush on a girl when I was 4. It was distinct from friendship. I had plenty of guy friends, but I liked this girl in a different way. Incidentally, it's always been difficult for me to have meaningful platonic friendships with girls. I have a hard time separating appreciation from attraction. The girl started developing breasts and I couldn't look away. 40 years later, and I'm still hypnotized by boobies. Met this girl in primary. For my little mind she was perfect, I guess. Well, long story short, I had a crush on her for 13 years and then I finally asked her out and now I'm married to her. By the way, I met her when I was 5 and finally had the courage to ask her out when I was 18, and at this point she was on the other side of the country, but we made it work. Also, not going to lie, it was the most painfully feeling to watch her get her heart broken by other men. She was an extremely beautiful woman but also very vulnerable. It wasn't a pleasant 13 years of liking her. There were times where she would tell me she fell in love with another man. I was a close friend at this point. Friendzone really hurts, but I wouldn't stop loving her. I was glad that she found someone, but I felt absolutely disgusted when that special someone would break her heart. This happened about 4 times, I believe, and that's when I finally confessed that I've loved her for so long. I specifically remember in 1st grade one realized that boys and girls were different and I liked girls. I had no idea what sex was at the time, so that's interesting. Not sure what it even was that I liked. Never had a realization, just always did, I guess. Remember the scene where Catwoman straddles Batman after she overpowers him and then licks his mouth in Batman Returns? Yeah, coincidentally. Looking back, I now realize it's probably one of the reasons why I'm one kinky bastard nowadays. Kindergarten. Becky Williams. I moved away in 2nd grade. Still heartbroken. Princess Leia. I had a crush on a girl in kindergarten that stayed through 7th grade. I didn't have any explanation or reason behind the feelings in kindergarten. I just knew I wanted to be around her and I wanted her attention. I don't remember ever not knowing that I liked girls in a different and stronger way than I felt about any boy. There used to be a website called whitehouse.com. It was not a site dedicated to the White House. It was porn. My friends and I quickly exited the window in shock. But I thought, I liked that. When I was 10 and found an underwear magazine in the mail. The movie Titanic. During that one drawing scene, I put Titanic at the top of my Christmas list the year it was released on VHS. At the time my parents no doubt assumed it was because of that scene. Years later it came up somehow, and my mom offered her new, and by that time more plausible theory that it was just the first really adult movie I'd ever seen, and I appreciated the maturity of it. In actuality I just really enjoyed watching the boat sink. Blossom and Bubbles did things to me. No love for Buttercup. One day in 5th grade one noticed a lot of the girls in my class had boobs. Guys, is it just me or is Bebe like really cool? Met this girl at school when I was like 14 who just completely blew me off my feet. She was smart. She was pretty. She was funny. She was flirty. She was passionate. She was sexy. She was the whole 9 yards. She was amazing. Sadly I was so starstruck I had no idea what to do, and so I kind of just flopped. Got scared. Got anxious and ended up doing nothing. Sadly she left a year later, leaving me with a determination to grow a pair of balls and a desire to get good with girls. She's the one that got away. When I saw Prince Zuko grow his hair out in Book 2. In 1st grade computer class, I walked into class and attempted to sit next to this girl. By attempted I mean I missed the chair and landed on my backside. She laughed, but it wasn't a mean laugh. It was a cute laugh. I continued and failed to sit in that chair for the remainder of class. She became my first girlfriend and wife. We got married by the big oak tree in the playground. I don't think the marriage is legal because I'm pretty sure the 7-year-old pastor wasn't ordained. Or a pastor. Poison ivy in Batman and Robin. Weird, but it did something for me. I can't remember what started it all, but when I was 3 years old I got caught kissing a girl under the pews at church during service. Like, we were kissing a lot. It's one of my earliest memories. P.S. I got in trouble. It wasn't a gradual realization for me. I was sitting, bored, in a 6th grade class, when I thought, I wonder if I still think girls are gross, followed immediately by, I wonder if I am gay. So I imagined myself kissing Mike, a hot piece of 6th grade male ass on my right. No, that was disgusting. Then I imagined myself kissing Clarissa, on my left. And this started the most intense and all-consuming crush I've ever had, or ever will have. It was magical. There's a moment in the Two Towers when Aragorn comes busting through double doors at Helm's Deep. Yeah, that moment. Probably had my sexual awakening the same time as anyone that grew up in the 80s. Gay or straight. David Bowie as Jareth in Labyrinth. David Bowie stands alone as a sexual icon. One's own personal sexuality is irrelevant. I remember having girlfriends in kindergarten. Had no idea what I was doing. I just remember always loving the ladies. When I see a cute boy I think about him for approximately 3 days and mourn the loss of never seeing him again. I had crushes on girls in kindergarten. When I was 4 I saw a photo of Fabio. What followed was an exchange that went something like this. Mom, is that a man? Looking at his thighs he looks like a tree. Yes. His name is Fabio. I like him a lot. I didn't know what sex was when I first saw the movie Labyrinth. But I knew I wanted it with David Bowie. When I was a kid and all the other boys in my class went through the EWW girls, cooties, no girls allowed, phase, I remember thinking, but that's stupid. Girls are pretty. We should want to be with them. Right there with you. I remember telling my brother I had a crush on a girl in kindergarten. He told me to ask her out and get her something nice. So I got her a 25-cent ring from a supermarket and asked her out at recess. She ran away from me though. Sad face. When I saw The Nanny on TV for the first time, really did it for me. The nanny named Fran. Remember that lesbian scene from Wild Things? I thought you meant Where the Wild Things Are, and I was extremely confused. In grade 4, we had this really hot social studies teacher. One time, she had the class do jumping jacks at the start of class for some reason. All dem jiggles. I remember looking at my friend beside me as this was happening, and we just nodded at each other from the joy of the scene that was before us. No prompting was required. We just knew that we both liked the ladies. The morning after having gay sex. Lucky you didn't get pregnant. When I was 4, I was obsessed with Star Trek. My reason? Because I was in love with Spock. Why did I love him? His ears and his logic. Ever since, I'm attracted to really smart men, and oftentimes ones with features most women don't find attractive. I think my first memory is when in kindergarten I followed this girl around the tables. I liked her, so I guess that's how. Kindergarten. Girl had her hair in a braid. I noticed it looked a certain way, but I didn't have the word to describe it. I asked my teacher to help me. Braid, she asked. No, I said. We went through 4 or 5 more words. After each no, she'd ask me to explain more. Eventually she figured out the word. Oh, she said. You think it's pretty? Yeah, I said. She's pretty. When I was really young, thanks to Jessica Rabbit, there was also an American Indian girl cartoon I was attracted to, but I have no idea what show it was. TV, not a movie. My first crush was kindergarten. Always the misunderstood. Bad Boys SMH. Did he run with scissors? Or just refuse to take naps?